So can you reapply to a PhD program that you were rejected at? I want to talk about that today. I think it's an important thing for us to talk about. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslock. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out as much as I possibly can. So PhD admission. So by the way, this is a question that was asked from Choo Choo. Again, if you don't know the rules to this channel, if I answer one of your questions, you have to go do something nice and then leave comments of what you actually did. Everybody really appreciates that. That's the name of the game with reciprocity. So what you need to remember with PhD admission programs or admission to PhD programs is that there is a process that happens, right? And there's various different stages of how do you get into a PhD program. And often you might get rejected early on or later on in the process, right? So if it's early on, you're getting rejected because of the numbers that you have. Like whatever it is, your different scores and things like that, or your letters are not great, or your application, how you worded things and things like that are not that good. But if it's later on, they're looking at, and you've had an interview with them, they talk to you, they're really looking at qualitative metrics at that point. They're getting a sense of what you're about. So it's going to be different in terms of when you get rejected in terms of what's going on. So first of all, absolutely, you could keep reapplying to the same program. In fact, that might actually look good. However, you got to remember that people that are doing the admissions part of it could be the same every year, or they could be different. It really just depends. It does change up every single year, typically because it's a committee. However, if it's like the same people that are there, then you're probably going to get the same response. However, there's something that you should think about, right? If you're getting rejected early on, if it's kind of like an early thing, you're probably getting rejected because of your scores of something, right? So you can look to see what your scores are and see if you can bump those up, right? Like standardized test scores, you can retake things. That's definitely a possibility. And this happens all the time, right? Like a lot of programs kind of look for a level, and if you beat that level, then you're going to be given a chance of getting in that thing, in that program. The other thing to think about, if it's towards the end and you had an interview, they're maybe looking at qualitative things. And so if that's the case, they might remember you. And if they remember you, they might be thinking, I don't know if this person's for me. However, what you're forgetting is that there's a lot of things that go on in the marketplace, right? So 1 year, so let's say they have a set number of applicants that they can accept, right? So you got to remember this is a competitive market. And so they might have, in a year, they might be only able to submit 3 people or 5 people or some sort of arbitrary number. But in that year, if there's a lot of people that are submitting and they're very good, it might be that you are ranked at like 5 and you really need to get to the 4th sort of placement. So if you reapply and you demonstrate that you've grown, that you've worked on things, you do have a good chance of getting into the next cohort. And you just simply have to realize that there's that goes on. So another thing that you got to realize too, that you could do, and you could try it, is you can reach out to them and say, hey, I would love to reapply to the program. What do you think I need to do over the next year so that I can have a better chance to get in next year? And that would be very positive. The other thing is that you can, and nobody has done this because nobody listens to my advice anyways, but actually do some research for that person and send it to them and say, hey, you know what? I did this work for you. I don't expect anything, but here you go. And if that dies, use that as a signal, right? If they look at this, if it's actually somewhat okay, like you collected some data for them, you went over and above, you began writing up an extension of one of their papers and you got far along. If if you do that, you spend some time, some time, right? Some good weekends doing this, and you submit it to them, and they don't respond, and they don't do anything with what you actually did. Use that as a strong signal. They're probably not so nice. Let's just say that. They're probably not so nice people. You don't want to work with them anyways. If they respond favorably, right? If you get a positive response and they're like, hey, this is actually not too bad. Thanks so much for doing this. Maybe you could do this, that, and the other thing. And then if they respond like that, that's a really positive signal. A, they actually are a nice person. And B, that you might have a shot in the future, right? So continuing on the relationship, I think, is important. Don't take a rejection as a rejection of your soul. It's just a rejection of some stupid process. So you got to get back up, get going, and do it again and again and again and again. That's really what it is, over and over again. But also the other thing to remember, don't get fixated on some stupid program. It's just some stupid program. Who cares? Go and make your own career and stick it to them after. Dude, you are fixating on somebody and something. You're enamored with them. That doesn't mean it's the end all and be all, right? You have kind of a romantic relationship with this person, and I'm getting you to step back and say, hey, why am I so infatuated with this person? Is this legitimate? If it is, okay, great. If it's not, move on. There's a bigger world than that one person out there. All right. So with that, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Thanks. Oh, by the way, go do something nice and read and put some comments in the show notes. All right. Take care. Bye.